Are you going to be monitoring the chat during this? Okay, because I like to chat with people. I feel like naked. Okay, here we are. This is my first time presenting like in person at Startup Boston, which is very exciting. Yeah, so I want to tell you a little bit about me. Then we're going to jump into this. I think we have an hour. I should be able to get through the slides in like 45 to 50 minutes. So we'll have like 15 minutes for questions. Feel free to ask me questions, interrupt me, go on the chat so Brandon can do some work and we'll get this started. So, a little bit about me. I'm Paradise. I call myself the Madonna of marketing. I've been doing digital marketing for about 15 years. I started in college doing Facebook. I then moved on to Twitter when Twitter became a thing. I then moved on to LinkedIn when LinkedIn became a thing. And then I realized that like getting followers are cool, but getting money is even better. So that's when I kind of like started doing more digital marketing. I worked at three startups that all went through successful acquisitions. The first one was called Cloudint. It was a database as a service. I joined them like as they got acquired by IBM, helped them go into the whole IBM like lifestyle, realized that's not for me. I don't do well at big companies, but they taught me how the cloud works, so that's cool. So then I took that and went and became a digital marketing manager at Cloud Health Technologies. I was their very first like strategic hire that they brought on, and they were like a three times founding team. It was like their fourth time working together. It was basically like a done deal. They're going to get acquired successfully. I got them from 5 leads a month to when I started to like over 500 leads a month in like 2 years. It was, yeah, it was crazy. We grew the company. I was like the 30th employee. We grew that to over 450 people when I left 2.5 years later. They got acquired by VMware after that, which was great. And then I went and decided to see like how good is my marketing. So I went to a marketing tech startup called Evergage. I was on the customer success side. I got to work with like Citrix, Atlassian, SAP, like all their marketing teams. And that's when I realized like these huge companies have these like amazingly large like web teams. Like Citrix's web team was like 50 people and their only job was website. And like that's it. And then they had an email team of another 20 people and their only job was email. And like I was seeing like all these like cool things that they're doing with segmentation. And then that's how I really like took what I learned from there and got started Albaloo. So basically, they got acquired by Salesforce. Yay, another acquisition. I helped them get their churn rate from 50% to negative 10%, and just figuring out how to like strategize, implement, and launch campaigns within 30 days that are highly technical. And yeah, and then I started freelancing. So I was just like, what do I do with my life? I don't know. I tried to get, work at some startups. Didn't really work out because I was like VP or C level or bust. And so I guess bust was the thing that happened. So I decided like I'll just freelance my way into a job, and I freelanced my way into an agency. So here's Albaloo here. So I'm gonna, yeah, thanks. Feel free to talk to me. The lady's right there from Human Interest. Shout out for another sponsor. Really great stuff. So I've been speaking at Startup Boston. This is my third year being a sponsor and my third year speaking. It's very exciting times. So we're gonna do a little Albaloo refresher. So some people who've like seen me speak a few times may have seen this before. I won't bore you. It's like 3 slides. Then we're going to go into like an introduction for scaling and testing, just to make sure that we know, we have all of our ducks in a row. We actually like understand like the basics, just to make sure we're all on the same page. And then we're going to go through like the way that we see like the startup maturity model. So we'll start with launch, then we'll go to like finding your first like group of customers to like that all have the same problem that you can solve. Then we'll talk about actually like scaling and like how do you go from like 10 customers to 100 to 1,000 through all those inflection points. And then I'm going to ask you some questions. Oh, you're going to ask me some questions. And then, but I'll ask you some questions too. Woohoo, we have actually a good group here. All right, we're going to get started. If I talk too fast, let me know. It's been a struggle my whole life. All right, refresh from the Albaloo process. Oh, yeah, I can see the chat. Hey, Sebastian. Hey, oh, that's Brandon. Brandon, sorry. Hey, Brandon. Hey, Mark. Woohoo. Okay. All right. So this is the way that I see life. So in my life, I've worked with over 150 startups. I also worked at Mass Challenge. I was doing a lot of freelancing back in the day. And I realized that like startups fail at an alarmingly high rate. And there's three main groups of why that happens. Number one, I call it the failure to launch. Hopefully none of you are on this side. But basically, like your team sucks, you got outcompeted by someone, like the pricing was either like too high or too low, so you can't make money. Your product's unfriendly, which like it has to be pretty unfriendly not to get people to use it, because I've used some pretty bad unfriendly products before that like still exist. Salesforce, but it's okay. They're still there. But then like, lack of business model, bad marketing, which will help you solve that today, and like ignoring your customers. Don't ignore your customers. People do sometimes. And then the second way is like the failure to expand. So like you start out really well, and then you do like a geographical expansion or a pivot, or you don't pivot. And like the market moved and you didn't move with it. I'll send your slides over, Nicholas, so you don't have to like do that. Yeah, no worries. Don't worry. You can take notes that are important to you, not like stenographer for me. So it's good. All your products miss time. Dealt with that before. Hey, Maureen, nice to see you again. And Dan is here. Yay! And Andy, woohoo, my homies. All right, love it. And Jason, I'm also excited that you're here. Sorry. I'm not as excited as my other friends. Okay, or the products miss time. Like I worked with some startups where like you needed to be too advanced of a user to use their company. And they're like, we're an intelligence tool, but like no one is like up to like the intelligence level enough to actually be here. Oh, my slides disappeared. Hey, they're back. Or it's like you're too late and like everyone moved without you, and like whoever is there and actually existing is like basically like the movers, and no one's ever going to like leave them again. So yeah, survival is success. And then the last one is I call it like the founder challenges. Like the market didn't want you, the founders don't have passion. You have legal challenges, like the Silicon Valley TV show. There was like a lot of like legal challenges going on there. Hopefully, yeah. If you were actually in Silicon Valley TV show, your startup would not survive, but it's fine. It was pretty fun though. It was great. But yeah, you lose focus, you burn out, and like your investors and teams like don't get along, and the investors force you to shut down, which can be sad too. That's why we need revenue, not just money. But yeah, but if you actually like align your product to your market, you can pretty much give yourself like a 2/3 more of a success rate than we get there. Now we can't really help you with your founder challenges and like legal and passion. I can help you and get you coaches if we need to, and legal people if we need to, but we can work through that. Don't get sued, people. It's hard. All right, so that's why we started Albaloo, or I started Albaloo. I always used a royal we, sorry. But bringing like innovative products to market with like strategy implementation and optimizing campaigns. What I realized is that a lot of the marketing agencies that are out there today, they like work with like really large companies who've been around in business for at least like 10 to 15 years. At that point in time, you can run different things and you know a lot more about your customers than you would when you're just starting out with zero. So a lot of those agencies are like, hey, give us like $200,000. We'll put $100,000 across Facebook. We'll run 10 campaigns. And at the end of it, we'll let you know what works or not. But like not everyone has $100,000 to spend on Facebook. So that's why I'm here. And so we're going to basically help you start with $500 on Facebook and kind of like move that way up on the shoestring budget. We worked with over like 50 startups past 2.5 years that we've been in business. So a lot of the case studies are actually from our customers that we've seen in the field and what have been working. So you'll be seeing that in a second. And then marketing today is more than just marketing, unfortunately. Now it's like revenue, like sales. We have technology, like you have to have your marketing tech. Like no one wants to be a Craigslist and no one wants to work with you if you're a Craigslist. Maybe some cloud engineers still like that. Sorry, cloud. Andy, I'm making fun of you. I'm sorry. But I have to. And then it's also, the data behind it. Is everything actually converting? Are we actually like adding to the pipeline? Are we actually closing deals? Are we making money or not? Or are we getting users if we don't care about money if you're a San Francisco startup? That's still fine too. But we need to make sure it works. We need to know what works, and we need to optimize based on that. Hey, Chris, Iveco, Ace Vito, sorry, from Boston. So basically, what is it? Oh, it's okay. You guys can talk to me, but don't talk to each other. I'm just kidding. Okay, so this is how we define our stages. We go from planche to scale. This is not from me. This is from Steve Blank, the grandfather of entrepreneurship. He teaches at Stanford. You can read his book, The Four Stages of the Epiphany, or The Four Steps of the Epiphany. That's a good one. That's where I got all of this from. I also read the 24 Disciplines of an Entrepreneur from MIT, and I took one of their classes there, so I got some of that work from them. I'm an academic startup nerd, but this is how like the numbers kind of work out. So like launch, you have 0 customers, you just want to get your idea out there. Creating the minimum viable audience, that's the one that I made up. That's my addition to startup life, and it's like finding like that you can actually like find a case study and like scale up from there. So we'll talk about that. And then B2B, you need a lot less customers because you can get one customer for like $100,000 and make $1,000,000 with 10 if you want to. So that's why there's numbers are a lot lower. B2C is more transactional, as we all know on that side. You need to get more people buying and then buying more in their cart and actually doing more. I'm also enjoying the people walking by over here and like dying in this like little thing. Sorry, I'm like looking that way. And then after that, like that's when you're ready to like really define your ideal customer profile. And that's when like the more traditional marketing kind of comes into play. At that point in time, you actually know what your customers are working on. You can actually have a case study. You can actually show success, and hopefully you can find like 100 more customers like the 10 that you just sold. You can like really get that scaled up. So that's when you get to 100, and then the BDC is 250 to 500. And then once you kind of get that moving and good, like you should be able to like cross sell, upsell, and like really add new products, add more revenue streams, and just like scale everything really quickly. That's when people are now getting like the 50 million to $100 million in funding, because you're basically like, if you give me like $1 million, I'll print out $10 million, and this is how we're going to do it. And so kind of help our startups like think through that so they're ready to scale it out. And then basically scale just keeps going. You can just keep scaling and scaling and scaling and 10xing. I think today we're going to get to like maybe like $1 to $10 million in revenue. If anyone has more revenue than that, let me know and we can talk more about that. But I'm thinking that's good enough for Startup Boston. Cool. Hey, chat people. All right. Can everyone just tell me what stage their startups are at in the chat? And then I can see who's here too. And you guys in the crowd, what are your startups at? 1, 2, 3, or 4? Yeah. You guys are at 4 plus human interest. What is it? 0? Oh, they're at 1. 1, 0. Oh, yeah, then I guess you are 0. Pre-launch. Woohoo. Yeah, Chris. What's up, Natalie? Oh, no, Dan. It's okay. Woohoo. 1, 2, 2. Okay, good. 3. Woo, get it, Natalie. Yeah, he needs to go. It's a guy. I got rid of my co-founder too. We can talk about that later. Ted, Finn, stage 3, get it. Nice. And then Lawrence, pre-launch. All right, I guess I'll do a stage 0 next time. But launch and pre-launch, I pretty much put in the same step. Because once you launch, you're automatically number 2. Trash has been taken out. Yeah, sometimes the trash takes itself out. I love it. All right, and then basically, oh, do you know why this didn't move with my slides? Okay, hang on. We're gonna refresh. There it is. Okay, so we also want to use the lean startup methodology. Ooh, Pamela, also a 4. Good. We have some 4 stuff too. And then Sebastian, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Oh yeah, because you work with startups too. I got you. All right. So everything about the lean startup is all about the customer, obviously. And then we basically other clients is like, everyone just says you have to keep testing. I'm like, yep, that's basically it. You always keep testing. So first, we always do a hypothesis with the research. Then we have to do user interviews and just keep doing that over and over again. You just really want to get into the mind of the customer. For me, we also do marketing user interviews where we actually want to see like, where do you get your news from? Where do you go to for a conference? Are all my users I'm talking to going to like one conference? Startup Boston, that I can make a lot of money from, Startup Boston all the time, then yeah, let me show up here. Do they all live in a certain cities? Everyone like in Austin, San Francisco, Boston, Chicago, like maybe we just like focus on that. So you just really want to like figure out like where are those people at and what are they doing? And then they can tell you, which is exciting. Try to. Then you can build your first campaign and like match the use case in the segment, which we'll talk about later. And then you want to launch the campaign, obviously. And then you want to optimize and measure the campaign. And then once you do one loop, you see like, was that good enough or not, which we'll talk about later to see what's good or not. And then we'll go through it. I'm going to like go quickly through this because I've said this all before, like last year and the year before. If you guys want those talks, just email me and I can give you those talks too. I'm trying to like build on it so people don't hear the same thing every year from me. All right, so now we're going to talk about launch or zero, getting your first customers. Woohoo! All right, so here's like the personality of your first customers. They're usually like weirdos who like to try new technology. They don't care if it works or not, and they like to help you. Sometimes they like to feel important because they're giving feedback to a budding entrepreneur. He can use all of that for you. Their riskiness factor is they love high risk. If your app disappears for like a day or two, they won't get mad at you. They'll be like, hey, I couldn't use it. And that's basically it. They're not going to scream at you, be like, you ruined my business, you ruined my life, like all that stuff. We can deal with those people later. You can engage them with like feedback, beta testing, LinkedIn, just finding them on the street, your friends and family. This is the time for your friends and family to test things out for you. And then your time investment working with them is going to be very high. You're out B2B. I always do an industry, a job title, and a problem. So like I'm a oh, we're back. Woohoo. So it's like I'm a digital marketing manager at a startup company and I don't know how to run my ad campaigns. That is one problem we can help someone solve. Or I am a like for the human interest story is like I'm an entrepreneur who wants to have a 401k and I can't find a cheap way of doing it. Demographic. Done. And then the B2C side, we do slightly differently, where we start with demographics like, are you a parent? Are you a student? Are you a kid? Are you like interested in boxing or something cool there? And then it's like your behaviors, like, do you go shopping? Do you camp? Do you work out? Like, what are the signals that are there? And then like, what's your problem? So it could be that like, I am basically like a white collar worker working in tech and I want to work out, but I don't know how to get started. Then you can go to Daher at Redline and he can teach you. But basically, like that's like one segment that you could do. Or it could be like, I am like a coastal Atlantic person who cares about the world and I want to like only like work with brands who actually like do good in the world. And I need to find them. Like that's another problem we could solve. Do you have questions? You look like you're thinking. Oh, sorry. You made a thinking face. I was like ready. Good times. And then again, my last talk from last week will go into this more. If you want it, just email me. I'll give you my email afterwards. Okay, so here's a case study of some early stage companies that we've helped launch. One is a customer success AI software. The CEO actually was in customer success for about 15 years. He like had a lot of famous friends in the industry. He was one of the first users of Gainsight, which is now like got $1 billion like acquisition from Vista Equity. And his besties are all billionaires, which is pretty nice. If only all of our besties could be billionaires, we could make some money. So basically, he goes out to all his friends and colleagues, and like his first customer was like Informatica, and like which is like a huge ass company. Sorry, I just swore on tape. Sorry, Steph. But because of that, like because they trusted him and they've seen him work before, and he like built a similar thing at his last two jobs. They're like, yeah, we'll go with you, like 2-person startup, and give you guys money because we actually trust you as a founder. We know you'll figure it out, and you're our friend, and we want to support you. That's the time to work with your friends. Oh, it's coming back. So basically, like how to engage these people is like manual outreach. You want to pitch them ideas, you want to call them, you want to text them, you go on LinkedIn, and you just want to tell everybody what you're doing. Shout out from the rooftops. It feels weird, even if you haven't launched. Be like, I'm working on this thing, and then all your friends can help you. It's very exciting. And if you come to places like this, you can tell everybody what you're working on. You can grab some beta users and have them help you out. Again, the time investment is very high because you just want to like look what they're doing, learn the process of the sale, actually like figure out like how to get them implemented and working. First few times is always rough. See whatever weird bugs are happening and then help them actually use it with their team. The number one thing you want to do is like get like a really good case study of a really important famous person or even just anyone who can use your product and like show success with it. That will basically give you the fodder to get the next few customers, and we'll talk about that later. Well, that was this one. And then on the B2C side, I have a B2B and a B2C one for everything. The jewelry store launch. And so I had a friend who like liked making her own jewelry. The pandemic went on and she had a lot of friends and family who had a ton of Zoom calls and they were getting bored of showing up with their ears naked. Apparently, that's the thing. So she started making them custom jewelry. And basically, for her, it was like mostly Instagram of how she engaged with everyone. She was like really big into like festivals. She goes to like Burning Man and Coachella and all those things. So she had a bunch of friends who like into that. She had a lot of like other brands that were like tangential to her that made like different festival outfits and stuff. And then she started making festival earrings and necklaces and jewelry. And then it kind of like went on because everyone who goes to the festival has a daytime job to pay for their festivals, and they all needed Zoom call stuff. So that's how she kind of like got there. And again, the time investment's high. She made custom made each of the first pieces for all of her friends, and then they were able to go out. And then like Bella Hadid saw her website and bought her earrings, and that's how she like went viral and was able to go on. Sometimes it's just like putting it out there. A random person will just discover you, which is crazy, and you can go viral. All right, so here's the goals of your launch stage. Number one, you want to prove your idea actually has legs and like should exist in the world. So you want to like test out your prototype, get rid of all your bugs, figure out your sales process and pricing, and see like what's the market appetite. Are like people actually looking for this? Are they not looking for this? This is the best time to make changes because you haven't like gone all in on something. So some of the times, like you might see, like, oh, people aren't really interested in like my original idea, but they're interested in this like tangential thing. Do the tangential thing. Don't be the person who's like, I'll show them. I'll make everyone do what I want them to do. And like, no, that barely works. Unless you have a lot of money and a lot of time to hang out and like force them to change their roles. It's easier to just like find like the first step and then get them to all do the first step with you and then launch your actual original idea like a few years later when you have all the users. We'll talk about it later. All right, and that is the 0 to 1 step. Any questions so far? No? Doing good? All right. Yeah, I'll send a copy of this PowerPoint out.
Hey, parties,
Woo!
sorry, I do have one question in the
Yeah.
Q&A, if you wanted to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wait,
Tell me
sure.
now.
So from Caitlin Hutchinson, she's asking, what are some UX research questions that you ask your superstar users when looking to clarify exactly why these customers really love your product? And I don't know if you're going to touch upon that. Maybe.
Yeah, so I have another presentation all about that I can send to her afterwards. But basically, you want to dig into like why, like just keep asking them why until you feel like you've like, exceeded that. Because like a lot of people are like, oh, I really love this product. It's doing this for me. And it's like, okay, like is the thing you're working on like actually important to your day-to-day job? And I asked them like how does that help you succeed in your job? Like what's your job success and how is this actually helping you? And if they can't make that like framework or ROI, then like that's a problem. So you have to kind of like sometimes like coach them through it and be like, okay, like before you're using my product, like what was your life like? After using my product, what is your life like now? And then you want to see like, can I find like another 10 people who all have that same story? And like that's the hard part is like, how do we find those 10 people that all have the same story? I can talk about that forever. But yeah, you just have to like find the watering holes, find the people, and then see like what like what is like what's their company looking like? Like do they have like a certain size team that like needs it? So like once the team sits a certain size, like they're all having the same problems. Is it that like they just care about something like data more than other people, or are they like more people who care about like their employees than others? And it's like realizing like what those like values are for them. They can then like go and find like okay, like people who care about A, B, and C all show up at this one conference. They'll all show up as like one like ads like search keyword or something. Like let's like find them there. Does that answer her question? Yeah. Just keep asking why. Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. So the question is, are the people in the minimum viable audience paying you? Hell's yeah, they're paying you. Everyone should be paying you. Don't let people go away for free for too long. Like your first customers, you can beta customer them all you want. And then at the end, you have to be like, okay, like how much would you pay for this? Let them tell you, and then just like make them pay for it because they just told you the value of it. And then as you move forward, then you can try to charge them more like, as you do more. It's kind of like walking a tightrope because you want to keep them until you get to the point where you don't need them anymore, or you want to like actually like help them help you. So like for me it's like, all right, if you're not going to pay full price, then I need you to like speak at every conference with me. I need you to give me 4 or 5 of your friends who also have the same problem who will buy full price, and you have to sell them for me, or you have to like do a case study in a video, or like all of it. So like for me it's like if I'm going to like give up on price, then I'm going to get something in return that actually helps my business move forward. But yeah, always get revenue. AGR. It's like ABC. Okay, so your first set of customers, they all need to have the same need and challenges. They don't all have the same need or challenges. You cannot go past go. You have to basically find like 5 to 10 customers on B2B, like up to 20 customers on B2C that all have the same problem, all have the same story, and are all able to find the same success. I'm just gonna like get that into you because if you don't do this now, you're gonna have problems later. The riskiness factors are still high risk. They're still gonna like help you out and like realize that you're a budding startup and you're small. I love using like the small and poor as long as I can because you can number one get a lot of like free stuff from your friends who like run sponsorships and stuff. Number two, you can basically get like you can email people like, hey, we're a startup, we want to come. They're like, oh, here, have like a discount. You can only do that for so long until people actually understand that you have money soon. So like use it up as much as you can, and you can basically get like everyone to forgive you all the time up to a certain point, but you can get away with a lot. Use it. How to engage, you can use your traditional sales channels, you can use your network, and then time investment's still very high. Yep, I'll send everyone the presentation deck. Don't you worry, you'll all get it. Because like basically you're still learning. So like the more you learn, the more investment you have, and then the investment will go down later. Okay, so the minimum viable audience, your customers, same challenge, same product usage, same case study and success stories. If you have like 2 to 3 of them, that's amazing. Because then you can really like scale that up and be like, here are 3 customers who all found success. Now I can go and find another 10 or 100 of these people who all have the same thing. It's very exciting. But you make sure it all works here, because if it doesn't, then you're gonna be in trouble once you like raise your seed round, which some of my customers are experiencing right now. Oops, wrong button. I wish my arms were longer. All right, so here's the campaign architecture. We're gonna start talking about campaigns and marketing now. For your minimum viable audience, it's pretty simple. Number one, they're gonna find you somewhere, whether it's paid ads, like sometimes like for some like startup keywords, you can get like 50 cents a keyword. At that point in time, yeah, do a Google search ad. That's cool. If it's really expensive, don't do it. And then the same with like, organic search, like sometimes you'll be lucky. Like I have one of my customers, she does like recruiting, like training for recruiting. And like, that's like a very small search term, but there's like not much there. And we get like really good high intent searches from that. So people, even though it's like only 90 people searching a month, we get like 4 to 5 like really good demo requests from like huge customers from that. For her, organic search works. But I have other clients who are like, oh, we're helping out doing CAPTCHA. It's like, okay, the search word for CAPTCHA is very, very hard to rank for. Organic search is not going to work for you. Social media is great because you can cut through the noise. If you have a really good following, you can basically just get anyone to listen to you, which is what I like about it. It's great. So they're going to find you somewhere, hopefully, if you're doing it right. And then they're going to come to your landing page. And you just need a one-page site at this point that tells what are you solving, how does it work, who you are, sign up for something. If you want bonus points, do like an ebook or something so you can get them to download that. But that's basically all you need, and hopefully they'll come through. I love chatbots because you don't have to do any work. You don't have to like make anything, and people can just ask you questions, and then they can chat to you, and you can chat back, and you can get a customer. It's very exciting. Low budget work because you don't have time. And then, yeah, if you have the conversion for the lead magnet or a form or a chatbot, like get that email address. The faster you start building your emails list, the better off you are, because in the way that the world is going with the cookies, you're not going to be able to track anyone across the internet much longer unless you have their email address, and then you can connect it to a bunch of stuff that we can talk about later. So email address, good. Ooh, phone number, even better, and it's thundering. Exciting. All right, and then here's your campaign plan, because I had one customer last year who was like, I need a campaign plan. I was like, all right, here you go. So basically, you're gonna have your product and offer, your content, no more than 3 pages on your website. Usually it's home about how it works blog. Blog once or twice a month about like what you're learning, what you're doing, to get people to talk to you. One pillar page, which is like an SEO thing that we can talk about later, but like you can just make one long page that's like a honeypot page for search keywords. That's like the ultimate guide to whatever your product is. So for us, it's like the ultimate guide for creating your minimum viable audience would be like one of our pillar pages, or like how to launch. There you go, done. And then an email newsletter. We just send it out like once or twice a month, maybe once every quarter, just to like update people that hey, you still exist and here's what you're doing. Like very low level stuff. Digital, like I would just focus on one like social channel. If you're like B2C, like Instagram, TikTok might be a good spot for you. B2B, LinkedIn's great. It's like now the Facebook of work. I love it. I'm always on LinkedIn. It's pretty great. And then if you have money, you can do a small ad campaign that's like $500 a month. You can get in like, 5 to 10 leads a month from it. And that's all you need. You can't like overwhelm yourself. You're a small startup company. Maybe you have 2 people, maybe you have 5, no more than 5 usually. And then you want some sort of offer. So if you're like an industry leader that people want to talk to about something, then like doing free consults works all that way. Like my favorite thing to do is to do consulting on top of your product when you're at this stage where like you use your product to consult, you get some money in the door so you're not poor. And then you can actually like figure out, like get in the weeds of like how does it work? How's it not working? You get to like see it like in real time. If you're B2C, you can do like a discount or a free gift is like what I like to get people to actually want to buy. Like for our jewelry store, we did like free marble earrings. So like you can make in 5 minutes basically. And she like sends like the little gift over. People like it. Or you should get like a spinning wheel. It's my favorite thing where you have like one free item and like 10%, 20% off, like another free thing. People love the spinning wheel. You get all the email addresses. It's really good. It's pretty funny. And then sales, it's usually founder led at this point. Like you are the founder, you have to do the sale, so you have to learn how to do that. And then you can do promotions, like for like Labor Day, Memorial Day, Black Friday, whatever you're doing to try to like get all those people in. So basically, as you're working, you want the people who can buy from you right now to like be put in one pile. Everyone else who's not buying right now, you want their email address, and then you want to like hit them up like every quarter a month, basically, and like see if you can get a couple more buys from that. Yeah, whenever I have more time, I just go through my old like lost deals and I connect with them and see how they're doing. One day they'll buy. And then we want to measure everything. So this is what I measure at this stage. It's like pretty early. You can basically get this all from Google Analytics. Now it's going to be new analytics. This is G4. So learning that too. But you have Google Analytics until July 2023. Then after that, it's going to switch to G4 Analytics, which is kind of weird, but you can still track all these things. But you basically like want to look for your ads or organic search. People come to your site, like how many impressions you're getting. The click-through rate's good. I think above 2% is pretty good. Do you have like engagement? Are people scrolling on the page? Are you actually getting leads from it? The landing page, you want bounce rate, like you want 50% or less than that. If it's like 90% and they're not like converting, that means that you have a bad landing page. If they are converting at 90%, good job. That works for you. Okay, cool. And then you want them to like scroll, so I like to use like Hotjar or Crazy Egg and you just see like the scroll depth. I aim for like 75% of people making it to the bottom of the page. And then you want to do like the clicks on the calls to actions and leads coming in. And then at the leads, I like to see like what was the form that they actually submitted on? Was it like a free trial form? Was it a subscriptions form? Was it like an ebook or a white paper? How many people are signing up for my product? And then how are my email opens and clicks doing? And it's pretty simple. You can get it from everything. I use HubSpot for my emailing because it's great. And then you can create SMART goals. I ripped this off HubSpot. If you guys want to learn about marketing, just go to HubSpot Academy. It's pretty great. I actually forced my team to go through it for training too. But basically, like you just want to have like a time period, a goal, like figure out what your marketing goal is. It's just nice to like summarize what you're doing and what's happening. And then they have like calculators and things that they can use to like figure it out. It's gonna be like, oh, I want to increase like my lead conversion rate by like 1%. And then here's like how we're going to do it. Let's test this program out. Let's get it out. Or I want to like see if I can get 10 leads from LinkedIn. Let's launch it out and see what happens. And what I like about like writing all this down, which I'm getting better at for myself, is that you can go back in time and see what you did. If you ever like onboard a new person, they can also go back in time and you don't have to like spend time like redoing your same test over and over again. Oop, my arms are not long enough. Is HubSpot free? Yeah, so there's a free version of HubSpot that you can use. If you have marketing, the starter packs are actually really good and they're only $50 a month. So you can get like a marketing starter pack that has like email newsletters being sent and like really like low level, like 3 email nurtures. And it's only $50 a month. It's amazing. If you're also part of an accelerator, or if you're actually part of like a VC that's a HubSpot partner, an angel that's a HubSpot partner, you can get 90% off your first year, 50% off your second year, and then I think 25% off thereafter all the time. But once you like use it, just make sure you're like at the scaling point because the price jumps are pretty high after that. You don't want to like downgrade. It gets rough. Okay, cool. What are some benefits of HubSpot? So number one, reporting. Number two, it's really easy to use. You never lose your leads anywhere. It has a really good CRM. It has like a phone scanner on it. I also use it for my emailing to know when people are like opening and clicking on my emails, so I can actually like get them. Really good meeting scheduling link. The reporting is once you get to Marketing Pro is really good. It's like better than Google Analytics, so it actually shows you the customers behind all the clicks. And you can actually, for Marketing Starter, you can actually connect your ad campaigns right into HubSpot and you see exactly which customers came from that one ad campaign or from like organic search or from direct search. Yes. Oh, yeah. I love Zoho, but Zoho is very clunky and like hard to use. Like I use Zoho for projects and like, and I don't want to be like stereotypical, but it's like very much like an Indian company where like it can do a lot, but you have to like learn where all the buttons kind of are. So then when you're like onboarding new people, you have to like teach them all like the weird parts of Zoho and like why does it work like that? Whereas HubSpot is like, as far as marketing tech tools go, it's actually like really easy to use and learn. And like their resources are really good and they teach you like how to do it, which is nice too. And so it's all about like scaling. Like the less time you spend training, the better off you're at. And HubSpot's like a really good partner in helping you do that. I'm a HubSpot partner, by the way. So I've also been using it since 2010 because I love it, but it's really good. It's a lot better today. In 2015, I was like, no, 2022, back to yes. Yeah, they did a lot of like good product improvements and stuff. Okay, so here's our case study at this stage. And the background was an ed tech platform. Again, like these people had been in ed tech for a long time. They had been using like the school information systems before. They had worked at one for about 20 years. And they were like a team that like was consulting all together. And they started like an ed tech consultancy and had a SaaS company on the side. So their SaaS company was basically a this flexible scheduler that sits on top of your system information sources for the school. So you see all the like the students and where they're going, and then there's like a new like flex period now in high school. I don't know if anyone has kids or parents. They know what's going on in the teaching world, and then they want to like learn like which kids are going to what's like flexible session. Are they actually learning? They're like, meeting with the teacher, and so like their app basically does all that. And so it takes all the information from the teachers to students to class periods. It can actually give them reports on like who learned from what, did their grades actually go up or down, like what's happening, are they using it correctly? And so for them, they had one in system that they integrate with the most. So like all their first customers had just that one integration. They all used it the same. They all kind of got it up and running. We actually got them like 22 customers in like 6 months because they had like the first 5 were all using the same tool. We're able to figure out like, here's the benefits, here's what they're getting out of it, could actually talk to it. Everything they talked about was like representative of the entire population of people using this one tool. It's like pretty easy to pull a list for people using that tool because they had a friend that worked there. This is kind of illegal and unethical, but you can do it. That basically pulled the list and gave it to them for the companies that went there. And then we used some data enrichment tools to find like the right people to like reach out to. And so with that, we like sent a couple of like email campaigns out and they got like 22 customers. It helps when you like have the team you've been in the space for a long time. Again, the faster, that's what like Nicholas was talking about before. It's like, does it take you really 18 months to see if your startup has legs? Not if you're from the industry. The more experience you have, the better it is. I think I saw a stat somewhere that said like the 50 plus entrepreneurs are actually more successful than the people below 30 because they've been in the space for a long time and all their friends now have money with them. It gets a lot easier. I can talk to you about that later too. But basically we did some manual outreach, we pitched integration, we had a website that was basically like a sales assistant tool. We had wrote some blogs and people were telling us that like they read the blog and that actually made them want to close a deal with them. Just kind of fun. Yeah, it's like, yay, marketing works. And then like, again, then time investment's like very high. White glove onboarding, they're looking for challenges. They want to do everything. Thanks, Dan, for the HubSpot stuff. But yeah, guys, if you're a startup, like go look for like HubSpot for startups. Like don't sign up until if you have that. Just check and see if you can do it. Just Google HubSpot for startups and you can apply to it. But it's pretty good. And then you basically like the free CRM is really good. But then the marketing side, you can't send an email until you pay them at least $50 a month, which isn't bad. You know, we can only afford $50 a month. Oh, wrong button. No. Okay, good. Back. Okay, cool. And then on the BDC side, we have a personal chef startup that the founder comes from the food business. Like her family basically owned a restaurant for a long time. And so then she basically went and passed some laws in Boston and made it possible for people to cook from their own homes and actually get delivered to others, which is kind of nice. And so her first customers are all within the same Indian community as her, which is really great. Like use your ethnicity whenever you can. I love that stuff. And they wanted like their own homemade meals, but they're all like working at like crazy jobs and like they were too busy for the home cooked meals. And so that's how she kind of got herself off the ground. Again, like it was a lot of like manual outreach. She got the chefs to join and then they were able to give it to like their friends and family too and get them to like pay them through her app. And just basically just like enabling this to happen. And then we also did like a postcard campaign where we found like where the most of the people that she wants to work for, like where do they live? And then we just grabbed all of their like their information from like the home buying stuff. You can just basically like it's public knowledge when you buy a house, who you are and what you do. So you can basically go to the system, grab all the information and send a bunch of postcards out. And like I went from like 5 orders a month to like over 500 orders a month in like 2 months, basically. Just doing that. Wild. I know. Idea plus people plus market, success. And so yeah, now they're like getting the chefs onboarded. We're trying to like help them make their own menus that actually work. Might do some more like professional photography of them and like make it look good. And it's also how Airbnb kind of scaled out. And then we're helping their first consumers make their purchases and kind of like getting them out there. It's called Who's Cooking. Check it out. Cool. So that's where we're at for that. And then basically like the goals of the minimum viable audience stage, fine-tune messaging. You want to find like one channel. I call it like one marketing loop, like a channel to a customer to a sale. And if you can kind of get that moving and like working, then that's like, okay, now you're ready to move forward. And you want to be able to close deals and make sales and make money. Oh, cool. Chris, a photo and video production company. Yeah. Love it. Yeah, we can talk about that. Oop. Is it right? Cool. And then basically you cannot press go until your ready to scale checklist is fulfilled. Number one, 3 to 5% website conversion rate to email. So people coming to your website, you want 3 to 5% of them signing up on an email. Again, HubSpot will let you know if you're doing this. Anything less when you start adding ads is basically going to cut your conversion rate in half. So you can't really run ads until you have like a high converting site, or else you're just going to get lots of bad data. It's not fun and you spend a lot of money. Out of those people who are giving you their email address, you want a third of them to like go to the pipeline or add to cart or like initiate a purchase in some way. Out of those people, you want like 10 or 20% of those to actually become paying customers. So basically it's like, all right, now we have like one calculation down. And we were talking to like the venture capitalists or investors, they're gonna wanna know these metrics before they give you money. Because they're like, I can't just give you money for existing, unfortunately. And you have to make sure that you can actually make them money. If you have this, then you'll be like the cream of the crop or the belle of the ball, if you will, when you're like trying to raise money. And then bonus, if you have customers buying more than once, you have your MER or your monthly recurring revenue, then you're actually like more valuable than a company that's only doing one-time sales. That's the bonus points. You don't have to have that at that point, but if you do, then you're really the belle of the ball. It's pretty good stuff. And sometimes it can take companies like up to 5 to 10 years to like get to this point because you just have to do a lot of testing. You may not be correct at all. The more user interviews you do and the more work you do at the very beginning, the research stage, the more likely you are to like move through this faster. So a lot of research up front, less work in like later, or you do less work up front, you do more work later. But it gets hard. Just be careful and ready for that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about scaling. Okay, we have 15 minutes left. I'm going to try to get through this. Is everyone having fun? Is there questions, Brandon?
One, it was actually someone was asking about how should they think about their ad.
Yeah,
People were asking about how they should think about their ad budget when you're talking about HubSpot and how
yeah.
they should think about that at different stages of your first kind of few slides there.
Oh yeah, I'm working on that. So how big should your ad budget be? So number one, it depends on how expensive are your keywords or your people that are like actually competing with you. If you can find like cheap words or like cheap ads to run, it's like $1 a click. Then you can have a $10 budget. You get 10 clicks a day. Hopefully, like 3 or 4 of them like will actually convert. You get 3 leads coming a day. That's pretty nice. But if you have like a high converting budget, or like a really like expensive like competitive campaign, then like I wouldn't do it. So like the basic things that you want to do is like at the early stages is like not spend money on advertising. So find like really good places to sponsor, find good communities to be a part of. Go find like little places to be that like don't cost you that much money. You just have to exist and appear and you can like find your customers there. Once you have more money coming in, I would say you don't want to spend any more than a third of your profit on your ads that are coming in. So say you want to spend the money to get 10 customers, you basically have to do some math and be like, okay, if I have 10 customers coming in, what's my profit of it? Let's say it's $300. Okay, I can spend $100 trying to find those 300 customers. $300. Yes. Hmm. Yeah. Okay, so they're doing email marketing. They have very few clicks coming in from that. Do you recommend an ad? Is it like cold emailing? Yeah, it's cold emailing. Have you tried LinkedIning? Yeah, and like sending them messages on LinkedIn. Yeah, I would message people directly on LinkedIn. That's my favorite thing. Oh, you got a little microphone so we can talk. But yeah, she's B2B. I think your microphone's not on. You just have to like flip that little button. Oh, and I didn't hear her. Can they hear her? Oh, it's for virtual. That's cute. Oh. Oh. Yay. That's what I'm trying to like repeat back what they're
I
saying.
know.
Oh, there you are.
Thinking I'm pretty loud anyway, so I was surprised.
No, we need the virtual people. They're on there. Look at the chat. It's so happening. But yeah, basically, like I like to send. You can spend like $100 a month on LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and then you can email anybody, and it's amazing. So I do that because it basically is like texting people because everyone has LinkedIn for mobile now. It goes like straight to their LinkedIn message. Then we have to look at your messaging too and figure out like, is it actually like relevant? Are people interested in it? Is it good? Like I would literally like interview your friends or like anyone you know in your space and like give them that messaging and like ask them what they would think about it and then rewrite it based on their feedback and then try it again. And then you could get more people coming in. It just like takes like a lot of like testing and going. Like sometimes it's the audience, sometimes it's the messaging. I try to get the messaging tight and like, all right, if I can like talk to random people and it works, like we should be able to do it in sales, cold sales, and it should work. But then you want to make sure you're finding the right people online to talk to. That's like the next step. And so it's like a little bit of like people message, like back and forth testing and just seeing what happens. Yeah, I like to test with like groups of 50 people because then you can kind of like have a representative sample. Good questions. You use a free tier of HubSpot. You do? Oh, you get the bills. Okay, cool. That's new. Oh, 2K cents per month. Wow, get it, HubSpot. Nice. We used to not be able to like send until you like paid, which is very sad. Cool. All right. So now at the ideal customer profile, now it's time to actually scale. You probably spent a long time like getting your customers up and running. You have 10 customers, maybe like now 100. You're like, okay, I can do this. Let's get to the next step. So basically, all of these people have the same needs and challenges as your first group of people. The riskiness factor is now lower. They're no longer the high risk people. You trust your company, you trust your product and your service to actually work. So it doesn't matter if like they actually are like, if it doesn't work, I'm not going to use you. You're like, that's fine, it always works. We can do this. And then you want to engage them like your traditional sales channels, like calling, emailing, LinkedIning. You want to do some like your own network, always use your own network. And you want to start using marketing campaigns too. And your time investment's actually going down here too, because now you have more of a team. You probably got investment money, hopefully. This is like when you get like the $1 to $2 million like seed round kind of coming in. And you're like, okay, like me as a founder, I don't have to spend that much time with them anymore because I have an account manager or I have a customer success manager and they spend time with everybody now. That's when the magic happens. It's like, I can live. So it's fun. Okay, so at this point in time, you now want to do the flywheel. This is from HubSpot, also ripped off from them shamelessly. So you have your product in the middle. You want to do your growth here to kind of get them going, whether it's sales and marketing together, just sales or just marketing, some way of growing your customers. Then you have a pricing model, so they actually are paying you even more now, hopefully more than your first customers we had before. And then they adopt your product and you nurture them to retaining them and actually having them spend more money. And then they will pay again, or they'll get you more customers and more referrals. And this is when you can start like exponentially like hockey sticking. This is like the very first inflection point of the hockey stick. If you're doing like the hockey stick model, actually working. I grab my coffee. All right, and we're just going to do a quick sales funnel review. You want to qualify the leads into a demo when they come in. If they're not qualified, and we can talk about qualification later. We could do like a full day of conversation about this whole thing. But if they're good for a demo, then you want to give them a demo, or you want to like have them buy something. Then at that point, if they're a bad fit, like sometimes it's like, oh, we integrate with this product, and like we don't have that yet. You're not good for us right now. Save them for later. Or if you're like, oh, like our team's not big enough for that, and they're like, okay, cool, like we'll come back when the team's bigger. Then you don't want to like write a proposal for them. You want to get the proposal over, and then you want to make sure that the pricing works, the stakeholders are bought in, and then you want to close win the deal, get the money, and go move on to the next customer. So you basically want to get like your sales funnel working here. For B2C, it's easier. They either buy or they don't. It's pretty nice. And then you can do some add to carts and things like that. Okay, so now your revenue campaign architecture is a little bit more complicated. Basically, we're still attracting people, so I'm gonna skip through that. We're still engaging people, we always wanna do that. Then we still convert them to the email address. But now you actually have like a sales team, so you have to like communicate with them when things are actually coming through. So now we can do nurture campaigns because we probably have more content at this point. We know why people are buying or why they're not. We know common objections. We know the reason why they may not be ready to buy yet. Like basically, like the more money people spend, the longer it takes for them to buy from you. It's a pretty good rule of thumb to know about. Oop, I'm going down. There we go. And then this is when all the things gonna happen. So once you like nurture them and they're like ready for an opportunity, they sign up for a demo, like through like a meeting booking link, or like your salespeople call them like, yes, I want a demo. Then you put them into the opportunity point, and then you can like hopefully they purchase and you win them. With the BDC lifecycle, it's like a little bit different, but you might still want to do free consults if you're like installing like a bathtub or like doing landscaping or like really high like interest purchases, and you still want to do some sort of like consult step and get in front of them and kind of like show them why you're better than them, or better than the competition, like why they actually need you. For the lower interest buys, they're just buying, and then you have add to carts, and you want to just make sure like your add to carts are like abandon rate goes down, or like you're able to like get more people to nurture them to actually buy once the things are in the cart, then you want them to buy again. But basically, this whole loop works for both. And then sometimes there's people that like you lose them today. Like for some reason, they're just not ready to buy. Their like boss said no. Their mom said no if you're selling to kids. You know, moms are kids' bosses, maybe dads too. But you know, you just want to make sure that like they say yes, everyone's good. And then if they're not, then you just want to keep them in the system and keep nurturing them over time. You never know when the no becomes a yes, and you just want to stay in front of them the whole time. And then your campaigns get a little bit more crazy. So I bolded everything that's new from the last slide. And this is when you start doing a lot more like intense campaigns. So your site's going to grow. It goes from like 1 to 3 to like 5 to 7 at this point. You want to start doing email nurtures. If you can do reviews, you want to do review marketing to like build that social credibility up. And then you want to have case studies now. They're actually like representative. If you have like a really famous case study, if you're a B2B company, that always helps. If it's like a home brand, like, oh, I have a case study from Citrix. It's like, oh, are you smarter than Citrix's marketing team? I don't think so. They're going to use us now because we have that. So that kind of helps like build the credibility and get from like the knowers or like the like skeptics to like actually say yes to you. And then digital, like, you know, we'll go from one to multiple social platforms. You want to start running multiple ad campaigns like through everything. You want to basically have landing pages. You want to do conversion rate optimization and like keep trying to get that conversion rate up higher and higher and like building everything out. And then your lead generation is going to kind of go from like 0 to 100. So I would say like start with 2 of these. Like events are my favorite thing to show up at because it's like not as much work and can just easily replicate it. There's a lot of like, associations that like you can kind of do the same thing. Like if I'm going to a marketing event, it's like every marketing event has the same kind of people kind of going to it. We can basically have like a playbook that we run and we can just keep running it. If you have a good webinar team, or if you have a very famous founder who like knows a lot of good industry leaders, you can get them without trying too hard. Then I would start like a webinar podcast kind of campaign for that too. Ads are good. They always work. There's different types of ads I can get into. I don't have the time right now because we have 5 minutes. Oh my goodness. And then sponsorships are amazing. I love sponsorships. That's like my #1 way of like growing leads for like really cheap because you can sponsor like the Triangle like marketing events and like Raleigh, North Carolina. You get in front of 1,000 marketers for like $500. It's really good. So if you find like any types of associations that exist, for HR, we do a lot of like SHRM. It's like the Society of Human Resources Management. And like we can go to like all their little like they have like events in like Buffalo, New York, or like Atlanta, Georgia. And if you could just go to all of them, you get a ton of customers if it works. And you just want to keep like this is the point where you start like inflecting and this like paying for playing and just doing it over and over again. The sales, now founder is no longer doing the sales, thank goodness. And you have a professional sales team that's probably hopefully better than the founder themselves. You do account-based marketing if you're, on the more the B2B, trying to get more people in. You're like, all right, I want everyone who's using HubSpot to be my customer. Let's just go after them and make a very specific HubSpot campaign. Consumption expansion is really good if you want to think about like usage for your product and be like, okay, like you guys are like my top tier of users and you're like using this more than everyone else. I'm going to charge you more money because you're getting more value out of it. And you can kind of like figure that out and make some more money there. And then referrals become a really big thing. Like your customers can start giving you referrals. And you can start doing referral campaigns and be like, dear customers, you can get 1 month free or like 2 months free if you actually give me more customers. You should try to start like getting those relationships up. Still want to do offers. I also love like Instagram referrals too. You have a really good like friend who has a lot of followers. Okay, so here's my tech recruiting training one. Basically, she created a course to teach tech recruiters how to talk tech so they can better find engineers. It's kind of crazy. So her profile is tech staffing firms and internal tech recruiting teams, so at least like 15, 20 people. We're engaging with them with events, ta-da, webinars, ta-da, and then LinkedIn ad campaigns as well. And then the time investment is medium because she has a sales team and we have processes and also an account manager. So she's actually able to like go and like raise money and raise funding at this point. The company is running without her. If she goes on vacation, sales still happen. It's very nice. And it's like when the founder is like, oh, yay, I can live and sleep. And it works out pretty well. So like that's one. But for her to get to this point, she was in business for 5 years before she got here. So it takes a while, guys. And it's okay if it does. And then here's a clothing company that we're working with. They had a political science major from Congo. He wanted to raise awareness about the plight of his country through fashion because he didn't want to he wanted to be fun and not a downer. So basically, he created this clothing line, and his customer profile is millennials and Gen Zs who care about fashion for good, and they actually live in coastal cities because we found out if you live in coastal cities, you're more aware of the world in America. So that's where we're starting from. And then how to engage. They're doing a lot of events. They're doing ad campaigns now. And again, the time investment is medium. They have processes for fulfilling orders. They have processes for creating a product now. And now we're just trying to get everything functional and profitable for them so they can go and raise some funding. And then here's your goals of the stage. Test your channels for acquisition, figure out which are good, which are bad. There's no way of knowing unless you try, unfortunately. And then you want to start closing deals every month and quarter. At this point in time, year one, maybe you made 10 sales in all. Once you get to this stage, it's okay, maybe we make 5 to 10 sales a month, and that's how you can start really growing that and getting it out there. And then you want to have an easy way to 10x your customer base. After that, which we're going to talk about. Sorry, I thought I had more time. So this is the checklist, and this is when you hit product market fit, hopefully. And these are all the things you need to do before you can say you have product market fit. Number one, your website conversion rate to email, a little bit lower because you have ad campaigns. 30% of marketing leads still going through the pipeline. You always want that. Now you want to have a good organic referral partnerships channel and some way coming in that are printing money for you, basically. If you have good partners, if you have good organic search, if you have people who are your customers telling other people about you, that's when your word of mouth actually starts working. Now you want your 30% instead of 10 to 20% actually becoming customers. If you have a sales team, they should be better at sales than you, and you should be smart about who's actually qualified and who's not qualified, so that number kind of goes up. Then you're closing deals every month. I say a 3-to-1 return on investment on marketing campaigns. So every dollar you spend, you want to make $3 back. And that's how you start getting that inflection model of actually making more money than you're losing. And then your customer acquisition cost should be less than a third of your profit because you don't want to spend all your profit on ads. That's sad. And then that's how you can just keep spinning your wheels, but you're never actually moving forward. And there are a lot of those companies. It's sad. And there's 2 ways you can cut it. Number 1, cheaper ad campaigns. Number 2, cheaper product delivery. You can choose one or both. And then you want to have a good customer renewal rate at this point. You want your MRR, your monthly recurring revenue, to turn into your annual recurring revenue. Sorry, I just love being a pirate. But you kind of want to get this moving, and then you want to have all these calculations. When your investors are hey, founder person, how are you going to make me money? You're here's my calculation. Mr. Investor or Mrs. Investor or Miss Investor or gender neutral investor, will you, if you give me $1 million, I'll make you $10 million and here's how we're doing. And then be like, oh yeah, we trust you. We like these numbers and you're better than anyone. And that's how you kind of get that conversation. And then we're going to talk about 10xing your base stuff. I'm sorry, I want to run really fast. Okay, we started with this model. Now this model expands to the bigger growth model. So you have like new business coming in. You want to make new features or products or like service offerings that will get you upsells and cross sells going through. Thanks, Maureen. And that's how you can kind of like keep growing your products. So now your like current customers are also growing your revenue. Your new customers are also growing your revenue. You're like doubling or tripling or quadrupling your revenue growth. Hello, Mark. I've spoken to a couple companies about hiring them for social media content and marketing. They all say, oh, ew, no. Yeah, no, screw those people. Thoughts on how to go about hiring a marketing team with a limited budget? Yeah, you can talk to me. We're a marketing team and we have a limited budget and we can work with you on that. So yeah, woohoo. Yeah, I'll send you my info afterwards. But yeah, you don't need, for us, it's like as you need marketing and we'll show you why you need it and why you don't need it. And like, we basically run the ads as you, so we don't get like money from Google for like running ads for people. That's evil. Okay, so your skilled customers, they all have different needs and different challenges now. You finally made it. Riskiness factor, they can have a low risk. They're like, I don't, now they're going to trust you. You have credibility. You've been in the space for a while. You have a team that's working. You basically, your product won't die on them. You're not going to be Twitter from 2008 or 2010 where it like failed every like hour, every now and then. Like none of that's happening anymore. If it does happen, you have a team to help you out, and your support team will go to bat for you. Which is sad. Don't abuse them, but sometimes you have to. It's okay. All right. How to engage? You have your sales channels. You have your own network marketing campaigns still, and now your time investor as a founder is going to like medium to low now. At this point in time, you shouldn't be doing day-to-day operations. Like your team should be doing that. You should be thinking about like strategic initiatives. Like, do we have funding? Should we make a partnership with Startup Boston? Do it. Should we like make a partnership with like Rippling or HR Tech or Human Interest? Like, how are like other ways for us to like bring in money that are like bigger deals? Or you're working on like your larger deals with your largest customers? Like, as a founder, you have to come in for like the $1 million deal. They're not going to want to sell it without you. So like then those deals, you want to be like ready and present for them. Everyone else, no. And then here's some fun ways to 10x your customer base. Number one, you can expand horizontally with like new features, integrations, or products. Like say we have one integration, cool, it's working with like HubSpot, and we want to move on to Marketo users, and that gives like another like million users that we can go from 10x, done. And they can keep going through like every marketing tool. The other way is to expand vertically by industry or demographic. Like, okay, like I only sell to like B2B people like who do HR. Now I'm going to also sell to people who do cloud and AI. 10x the customer base, done. Moving into a new market is hard, but possible. You're like, I'm going to move from like, mostly for like B2C, it's like I'm in Boston, I'm going to go to Austin and see if that still holds, if they like me, and then eventually I'll franchise everywhere. Upstream is fun. Like you can go from like a luxury good, from like regular to luxury goods, or from like mid-market to enterprise, or you can go the opposite way. You can start like really high because you need to like the money and the profit. But like now that you're running like more profitably and like leaner, you can actually go downstream and get more customers at that lower space. And they can also expand geographically. It's fun times. All these powers. And I just start with one and then keep going. And that's how like those roles keep going. And then again, like our scaling campaigns are getting crazier and crazier. So like now we want more than 10 pages on the site. We're going to blog every week. We have multiple pillar pages, a lot of newsletters, because now we have people who care about different like products. They care about different like ways of meeting us. They have different topics. And like now we have to do some segmentation. We want different email nurtures based on how they came in. We want to do reviews. We want case studies. Digital, same thing. Like everything's basically getting doubled or tripled. Same thing with lead gen. I would say you want like 4 or 5 different channels now instead of like 2 or 3. And then your sales, like you have multiple sales teams. You might have like an enterprise sales team and a mid-market team. You're going to have like more partnerships and channels coming through. You want account management, like doing more of those like upsell, cross-sell to your current customer base. Still, and you want to start bundling things together so people can buy more than one of your products at the same time. So now you have like a higher annual contract value. Or even if you're like a like B2C company, you want people buying more things at you at the same time because now you have that ability to do that. And if you did all your work at the beginning, this work should be like much easier because you have it all figured out. You have a good base. All right, and then your KPIs are the same, but now you're gonna start breaking them down based on like the ad network, so the different tactics that you're using, or like the keywords or referrals coming through on like the ad organic side. And then same thing with the landing page. Like you want to cut it down from like the landing page. Like maybe our webinar landing pages do better than our ebook landing pages. Like let's look at the differences and see why. And then same thing with leads. Like maybe our leads from like one ad campaign are better than the leads from this event that we went to. And like let's start looking at the differences between them and like optimizing, like cutting out the things that don't really work. And that's how you kind of get smarter and smarter over time. Again, it takes a while to get here. When we get here, it's pretty good. Oh, no. Sorry, I'm making weird noises. And then here's a fun case study of a company we worked with last year. They're a cloud consulting firm, and they basically sell more Google Cloud than Google itself, which is crazy. So they can just go and bully Google, which they do, and they don't care. It's like very impressive. But they were basically a consulting firm. They created a product that they rolled out to sell on its own. And then their like profile was companies using the cloud that want more visibility to spend, which is like basically anybody, which is crazy. But they work with like really large companies and help them kind of figure that out. And then they're engaging from like field marketing. They have people in different geographies. They have events. They do webinars. They do ad campaigns, organic search, account-based marketing campaigns, and they do channel marketing with like Amazon and Google too. Basically, Amazon and Google pay them to run campaigns to bring them to like use the cloud, and then they can use our software once they signed up for them. So crazy. And then their time investment's low. They have a self-serve model, and the sales team gets notified when they're ready for upsells and sales. And we basically help them create like a SaaS like free trial platform for them, and we like integrated with HubSpot, and another HubSpot commercial right here, and we made them $1 million in like a month, which is wild because cloud's crazy. Yeah, if you like, if you need a job that pays well, like go work in the cloud or AI. Those people have money. And then same thing on the B2C side, we work with a gym in Connecticut, and now they're going to expand geographically to Raleigh, North Carolina. And they're testing out the franchise model, and their profile is like white collar workers who are over 40 and need to work out for the first time. Usually it's like women after the first pregnancy, someone who got injured, someone's doctor told them like you have to work out or you're gonna get like really sick when you're older, and like, oh shoot, I have to care about my health. So they come to them. So we engage them with like challenges. We do events inside, we do ad campaigns, organic search. We did a lot of influencer marketing with them too. And again, their time investment's low because they have a sales team who can sell and upsell. So like our most important thing is like get people into the gym, and once they're in the gym, like I think 90% of them sign up, which is crazy. And since they're a training gym, they make about like $600 per person off the first buy. This is pretty nice for them. They figure out like how to do that. All right, and then this is my last slide. We made it. So here's the tactics for growth. I always start at the very like end of the sale when you're like a new company. You don't want to try and convince people to use you or like get a new skill and then they get educated, then learn, then buy. Because you're a startup, you're going to die before that happens. So you need to get people who are like are ready to buy right now in some way and get them to actually buy and try you out. So that's why we start with like the conversion, the nurturing, and the sale. And you just want to make sure they're adopting and using the product too. Because they don't use it, and it's like, what's the point? And we actually have like, I have like a little like campaign thing I can send you guys on all these things too. Then as you get bigger, then you can start doing more engagement with like different platforms that are out there, and also doing more like trust and like renewal and repeat buys. So you kind of like want to build upon itself. And then when you're like the biggest, big people, like the HubSpots of the world, then you can start doing more like that educational content. It's like, let me teach people how to like get the skills they need to like use my product, and then we can sell to them. Because at this point in time, you know you're gonna be here forever. Like HubSpot's not going to go anywhere. They have like thousands of customers and like thousands of employees. Like it's going to take a lot for HubSpot to die. So they can basically spend time teaching people and like doing a lot of like educational stuff for them to use it. And that's how they're like going to be growing a lot of their stuff. And then at that point in time, they have like a lot of different products you can buy. You go to their pricing page, it is very crazy. It's like, oh, I can buy 5 different products now, and all of them have different tiers. So they basically have like 15 things that you could buy. That's everything. I have the campaign place. So if you want to email me, you can. This is my email. That is my phone number. I am me. You can book a meeting on our website and let me know if you have any questions. Sorry, we went over by 15 minutes. I thought it was 9 to 10:15. Any questions?
No, good on our end over here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Nice. Any questions here? Are we going to get kicked off the platform because someone
We'll
else is
be
coming in
kicked
here?
off formally in about 5 minutes here. So we'll
right.
switch over to the next session. But if you're in person, please feel free to continue the conversation with parties.
Yeah, I'm here, or you can email me or LinkedIn me. I love LinkedIn. And I will send all the slides. Yes. Nice. Good. Yeah, so basically, she has a MVP startup that hasn't launched yet, and they're going to do an in-person event. How hard is it for you to put together the in-person event? Not hard, then do it. I would do it because you want to get your awareness out there and like, yeah, you're sitting next to the lady that you're sitting next to right there. She's really good at in-person events for her startup to launch. And like, you have to choose one channel. If like events is the way to go and you can like really easily get that out, you always bring new people and you can make some money off of it, or you can get them interested in signing up for your platform, then like I would do it. It's whatever's easiest. And every founder has a different profile. So there's no like wrong or right answer because you are all unique individuals. It's fun. And then our big thing is like, how can we use your strengths to help you grow the company? So if your strength is events, we can do events. Like my strength is speaking at places, so I come here and I speak. Oh, thanks, Andy. Thanks for coming.
So I'm just gonna make the transition to the next group parties, but
Okay.